Can you use TikTok for B2B marketing?
Yes, you can. I think this question is so funny because it's like one of the first questions.
No, you don't have to dance on it unless you want to.
You don't have to dance. I do think you should, though. I think it would be fun
Right?
to see some B2B companies get a little fun.
Jiggy with it?
Yeah, get jiggy with it.
Gen X in the house, sorry.
Well, thank you, Will Smith, for that hit.
Exactly. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Marketing Blender Show. I am Dacia Coffee, and joined with me is the fabulous Samaria Boyd.
Hello.
We always have so much fun on these. I'm so excited to have you on today.
I'm excited to be on. So
okay,
ready.
We are talking about probably the question, one of the most asked questions to Samaria, which is how often should you be posting on social media for your B2B company? So we're just going to dive in.
Yeah.
Like, where do you even start with this question?
Honestly, there are a lot of answers to the question. Number one being, no, you don't have to post every day in order to be successful on social. However, it can help. But the thing is that your audience is looking for specific types of information, content, whatever it is. And if you're not providing anything of substance, 9 times out of 10 people are not going to engage. And honestly, sometimes when you're just starting out, going ahead and, taking kind of a slower approach may be better so you don't exhaust all the good content that you have to create on no eyeballs. So yeah. I think that's like the biggest thing for a lot of our clients, especially in the B2B space, is really when they have no audience. It's like, okay, so what do we do? And it's like, okay, so let's just start slow. And as we build the audience, we can ramp up and continue to create content that they are going to engage with and that they're going to like. If you're already kind of established, I always say 3 to 5 posts a week.
Yeah.
For sure. And if you just don't have the team, then, 1 to 2 is fine. As long as you're making sure that you are hitting on those points and actually kind of giving your audience the thing that they're looking for, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I want to unpack some of that because one of the things that you're really hitting on, and I think this is so important, whether it's like a social CEO who's trying to put content out on their individual, but about their business or about their mastery, or a company page, is that it's got to be sustainable. Like there has to be some level of doable commitment. And you're right. Okay, do we want you to post more than once a week? Of course we do. But we want you to start somewhere with great content that people actually want to see. And then we want you to be capable of being committed to that, because then you're teaching
the commitment,
the algorithm, the platform, and the audience that you are somebody that's going to show up, and that you're going to show up bringing something that's worth following and worth engaging with. So there's a whole bunch of levels to that right there.
Yeah. And I think you really hit on it when you said commitment. That's super important. A lot of people will start social. It doesn't matter what platform it is, whether it be X, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. They'll start, they won't get any engagement, and they'll immediately start shying away.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this isn't really working. And it's like, you didn't really even give it time. Sometimes your growth on social can be super slow. Sometimes, every once in a while, you'll have that golden egg that's like crazy and takes off. But you still have to keep the consistency, and you still have to be committed. That's one thing, and I guess this is kind of an aside, but like one thing that people always talk about is, oh, we want viral content. But in order to, that viral content is about to create, you need to be consistent and you need to be accurate to what those people, wanted to see. That thing that they really liked about that viral piece of content. So you're going to have to repeat that and figure it out. So
yes.
I think commitment is a big thing.
Well, because you can't learn at all unless there's commitment. Like data is so important to a B2B company. Even if you're not seeing boatloads of comments or anything like that, but wow, what you can learn is so important. And I love that you brought up viral content because most people don't associate it with B2B. But let's just unpack that. You were talking about formats and platforms. Yeah, they rarely did it the first time. Every so often somebody turned into a meme and then rode that horse to influencer status. But generally speaking, these folks pump out content and then they watch the data and then they go, oh, our audience likes that type of post, and our audience likes this type of content, and our audience likes that kind of hook. And then you just get better and better and better at those. And then that's when you start seeing, some of those quasi-viral, or full viral posts. Like, most of it's not accidental anymore.
Yeah, and I think, when people think viral, they are thinking of like, oh, well, this TikTok went crazy and now it's on, I'm seeing it on Facebook, I'm seeing it on Instagram, I'm seeing it on LinkedIn even. It's just kind of funny because I have seen a couple TikToks on LinkedIn weird. And I'm like, what?
So a lot of people getting mad about that too.
Yeah, so and I guess, sorry, I was about to go on a squirrel, but just like keeping in mind that viral content is not necessarily the end all be all to social media, and making sure that people, I think, especially for B2B businesses, because I think in a lot of people's brains, because we get this question all the time, like, should we even be on social media? And I think a lot of time in their brains, it's just a place to be fun and quirky and weird all the time, which I would love for B2B companies to kind of step into their weird side, and to their fun side. But I think that there's a lot that B2B companies can offer on social, and can learn from social spaces, that I think that a lot of companies in the B2B realm are not capitalizing on, or are too afraid to capitalize on.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Okay, can you give me an example? Like, what are things that B2B companies usually talk about, but that, and then give an example of the things that actually work, in the accounts that you're managing?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we tend to see a lot in B2B is constant sales.
Yeah.
People are still kind of mastering the art of having an audience on social media as a B2B company. So right now, I think everybody's kind of in this space where like, oh, we want to talk about our product. And it's like, we can't necessarily do that. You have to still show the back end of everything. You have to still show like your company, especially because B2B companies are often seen as boring.
Yeah.
So it's really good for us in this space to show like, okay, here's a team outing that we've been on. Here's a charity that we're donating to. These are the positions we have open. This is what our product does. And not necessarily like, hey, come click this link and buy. Like, and that's something that's that's kind of challenging at times, because while you do want to promote the product, we have to come up with creative ways to get people to actually get interested in the product and to learn more about the product. And so one of the things that I've talked about, especially with a lot of our CMOs, is like, how do we teach online on social versus constantly sell?
Yes.
And I think in ways that can lead to, the back door of a sale, or
100%.
Even just somebody clicking and learning more. So that's something that I think is like, as we talk about the types of content they should be posting, I think it's definitely going to be less sales, more education, more people. More people.
Yes.
I can't harp on that enough. More people, and not being so robotic.
Yes,
so.
Exactly. Now, basically for me, like when I'm listening, you're talking about the role and the goal of social media, and there are different roles and goals for different B2B companies' platforms. So for instance, you mentioned recruiting and talent. That is huge. We have a number of clients where on certain platforms, their audience are prospective employees, they're existing employees, it's their place for culture. And so that's a really specific content strategy with a specific amount of posting and consistency. We like every day. And it's people, we see so much high engagement on those. And then there are others, I love that you use the word teaching. I think that's so on point, because then you're showing value versus sales.
Yeah.
Because organic social media is rarely, almost never, a direct lead gen.
Yeah.
Now, it can accelerate a sales cycle. It can provide social proof, like, oh, they're the real deal. And trust me, people are definitely looking at your social media when they're thinking, am I going to work here, or am I going to buy from these people, or am I going to partner with them? Am I going to invest in this company? They're definitely looking. Sometimes we have social media where the referral partners are the ones that we're trying to stay top of mind. And so then we're sharing the spotlight. And, the frequency doesn't have to be as intense, but if you get the content strategy right and you think, what audience am I building and how do I serve them well? some of these questions start becoming not self-evident. I don't want to say that, but natural, where you can test, and it goes back to that consistency where you just see, like, how do you serve people well, and how do you really be social on social media.
Yeah. And I think that's, it's kind of interesting because I think that's one of the things, I think I've said this like 4 times now, but like that's one of the things that kind of scares some of our clients when they first come on is like, well, either A, they don't have an audience at all because they've never built a social media account on whichever platform, or they just don't know where to find their audience. And that's kind of my favorite part is like getting online and kind of looking around to see where people are interacting and talking about certain types of industries and things like that. And even, I guess, for example, like, is Facebook the place for you to be, or is it not the place for you to be? Is LinkedIn your most important platform? Is it not your most important platform? So I think, just in general, like, I want everybody to understand that whether or not you're aiming to be like one of the B2C brands who are more, who are able to do a little bit more quirky stuff, I guess, because they may not have as many guidelines. But like, if you're looking to be more on the side of being more modern, I guess I'll say it like that. Don't be afraid to step into social and just kind of try, because the only way for you to actually learn more about what's going on social and whether or not you should be on social is for you to attempt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And bots aside, humans are here.
Yeah.
Being human. And like, why not engage with
Yeah.
that? Like, companies are just big groups of human beings.
Yeah.
And it's just a really great opportunity to show real authenticity, because we know, working with dozens of clients, they are all so unique, and it doesn't matter the culture. Everyone has something special and cool and interesting, where if they would just pull that curtain back a little bit, it would be an absolute game changer. And just not apologize for who you are.
Yeah.
Just bring it to the table and let it serve people.
Hey, Marketing Blender listeners, we have something exciting to share with you.
Our traditional YouTube show and podcast is expanding. We're going to be doing deeper dives on career, technology, innovations, and the stories behind amazing campaigns on our show.
Sometimes we have these conversations that are incredible, amazing. They've got wonderful ideas behind them, but don't quite fit within our traditional model here on The Blender Show.
Yes, a perfect example of that is career advice. We get a lot of questions about that. We also get a lot of questions about AI and how things are changing and what to expect. And sometimes the best stuff is what we didn't say on camera. So this new evolution is where these moments get their chance to shine.
Think of this as our creative workshop, where we get to explore everything from breaking into the marketing industry to innovative leadership approaches, even interviews with CEOs, but all within the high quality insights you've come to expect from the Blender team.
And the best part, everything's self-contained. Whether it's a single episode on a very specific deep dive, or sometimes we will be even doing mini series, you'll be able to get exactly what you want, when you want, where you want it.
You'll be able to find this as a playlist on all of your favorite platforms, the same place that you already get the Marketing Blender Show.
Oh, and tip, there is going to be some subscriber-only content, so little benefit for you that follow us every week.
So hit that subscribe button, stay tuned, and we'll see you guys soon.
This topic was all about the number one question you get, but we get a whole bunch of other ones.
Yeah.
And so Hudson gave us a few questions, so we're going to rattle through some of the common questions that we get about social media. So, all right, I love this one, but this one is so true. Do B2B companies need social media?
My answer is always yes, mostly for awareness, right? Just because when people look you up, the first thing that they're probably going to click on is a social media account if you have one. Especially as people get younger, that's the first thing they're going to be doing is probably looking on social media. And, I also think that it's just a really good way to kind of express who your company is and what you're doing without having to use so many words. Now, granted, there are a lot of words on social media, but like somebody can look at your Instagram and they can kind of see, okay, well, this is a company that sells, I don't know, wooden planks or something of the sort. Like just being able to see that thing that you do and the thing that you care about right up front, that's another thing, because we kind of have a client who's I can tell is a little afraid of social.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing for me is like, y'all have such cool stuff that you're doing behind the scenes, and no one knows because you're not sharing it.
Yeah.
You're not even sharing it on YouTube. There are no videos, there are no explainer videos, there are no commercials, like there are really no ads. So how are you guys, planning to expand and grow if people aren't learning about who you are? And so my answer is yes. So that was the long answer. Short answer is just yes.
Completely agree. And two validations to that. A number of years ago, there was a prospect that we had, CEO, I mean, they're still one of our clients, but CEO of a very large mid-market company. The kind of people, or the kind of person that people would say like, oh, that person's not on social media. We literally got that job because he was like, well, when I was on y'all's social media, I saw you talked about sales and marketing alignment. I saw you talked about this. I saw you talked about that. And I realized this company gets it. And this is not your stereotypical guy that's death scrolling on social media, right?
Yeah.
And so, that one is so huge. And we do see the data, that social media is extremely relevant. And there's something so powerful when people are coming across you organically versus the website's supposed to be perfect or the ad is supposed to be perfect. And people do have a high level of trust for what you're putting out there just as your natural representation, which I think social media has a kind of a different vibe that can be very powerful for trust building inside of the sales cycle. So could not agree more.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. How do you do social media for B2B?
How do you do? I would say with intention, I guess, to answer the question, but it's really, I think we kind of touched on it earlier. It's about showcasing who you are, a lot of teaching, a lot of showing your people. And if you think your company is boring, I promise you to somebody it's interesting. But you have to, the thing is I can say that all day, but you also have to put your good foot forward to make it interesting. We have to be willing to collaborate on content that is going to spark some kind of interest, and kind of help build that audience. And 9 times out of 10 for a lot of B2B companies, their audience is probably going to come from, and I think the top B2B platform is LinkedIn right now. So a lot of those people are probably looking at you as a place to work, things like that. So you need to be showing everything that you can legally.
Yeah.
And making sure that things, are, I don't want to say you have to be like you don't have to be super quirky, but people need to know why you're different. And people need to know that when they come to work for you, they're not just going to be sitting in an office 24/7 with no light, no windows, staring at their computer or sitting in a cubicle. So showcasing company culture is a big thing, I think, for B2B businesses, especially online, because I think where a lot of it gets lost is that people are looking at social to sell.
Yeah.
Especially in B2B, like that is something we run across all the time, is like, I don't know if it's a sales team that's running the social for a little bit or what, but we always run across having to explain like, hey, we are not going to completely sell on social. Yep. We will add in some posts here and there, but it will not be 100% sales. So just kind of, I guess, just showcasing your company and being honest about who you are and, putting your face out there, I guess, and showing your people.
Yeah. And, just to even just rattle off a few specifics I see on the feeds that you manage. I mean, you mentioned people. People can go into expertise. So it can be explaining or teaching, as you mentioned earlier. It can also be behind the scenes, things people didn't know. It can be trends in the industry. It can be data, right? It can be experience. It can be somebody's telling a story. It can be spotlights, showcases, partners, shout outs, awards, silliness, I mean, we've even had successful, social posts where it's like, what does your desk look like today?
Yeah.
People love that stuff, just getting like a day in the life of like
a good selfie.
A good selfie. They
those always
do
perform
work
well. Like
on B2B, selfies perform.
When they're, especially at like lunch and learns and trade shows, people love, and I mean, video obviously, but like people just love to see, like, especially if you have, you know, if you're a larger company, even if you're a smaller company,
Yeah.
people love to see people. And also your people love to see themselves on social too, like on your social
Agreed.
media.
And their families do, and
Yeah.
their friends do,
So-
and their favorite coworkers do. And, you know, if it's product, don't just sell, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. And, like, talk about philosophy, talk about innovation, talk
Mm-hmm.
about the reason that it's here. I mean, we can just go on and on. Philanthropy, partnerships, community, being proud of your city or your
Mm-hmm.
state or your country, core values. I mean, there is so much, like, robust, rich content that is everywhere in
Mm-hmm. It
these
is.
companies. And
You just have to
so
unlock
there's a
million
million ways to do B2B marketing.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
B2B social media. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What social platform is the best to market your B2B business?
That's a great question. I think it just depends on your audience.
Yeah.
And I personally think the best platform is LinkedIn. And that's just because of the nature of the platform. But we have seen that we do have clients that have better engagement on Instagram or Facebook because they have their, you know, their team is on Facebook and
Yeah.
they're interacting, their families are interacting, they're interacting with the community.
You've even got an account that's doing amazing on Pinterest.
Oh, yeah.
And most
That's-
people would say Pinterest is never a B2B. Au contraire.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's outstanding.
Yeah, Pinterest is honestly, what do you call it? Like a sleeping giant sometimes in B2B.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's one of the things that you kind of forget about every once in a while, unless you're using it to manage clients or not to manage clients, to post for clients or create content. So, yeah, Pinterest is also a big one, too, because I think, especially with the client that's on there, it's like showcasing their projects, showcasing the products, like how
So
can they
visual.
be used? Yeah.
Yep. So
And
many
it's-
ideas and inspiration.
Yeah,
It's
inspiration is a
perfect.
big thing. That's a lot of the board. It's kind of funny because, like, actually, when I was looking at their analytics, a lot of the people who are pinning are from, like, overseas. And they're, like, Dutch and stuff. So, like, I get to kind of learn what the Dutch are calling the types of, I guess, like, products that they have,
Love
like,
that.
the names for them. And
Love
so
that.
it's always fun to go on Pinterest and look and see where things are being pinned. But, yeah, it just really depends on whatever your offer is. And your audience, to be honest with you, because if your offer is going to resonate a little more with people who are maybe more on Instagram and it's a little bit more visual and a little more
Yeah.
pretty, then we can have a little fun with it and go on Instagram and see what kind of audience we can build there. LinkedIn, again, is really great because it's basically corporate Facebook. I say this all the time. Most people have LinkedIn. Most professionals that are in the corporate space have LinkedIn. So your people are already there. They're already probably representing the brand on their own profiles and stuff like that. So LinkedIn is a really good place to, I guess, like, really have your brand story told by not just you, but also your team members too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. And then one final thing. Can we please remind people that YouTube is also social media?
Oh yeah, YouTube.
Oh
YouTube,
my
yeah.
gosh. Well, and I think
Even I have to be reminded
men
sometimes.
don't want to admit that it's social media. It is definitely social media. And for B2B, we see a lot of reluctance to be on YouTube, and I get it because they're busy. And so video and content creation and consistency there, you know, it's a delicate balance. With AI, I think we're going to be able to see people adopting and trusting us to launch them on YouTube a little bit more, you know, but
Yeah.
it is still social media.
And YouTube honestly is fun.
So fun.
I know people.
Right?
It's not like so you have the communities, and it's not like a place where it's not like X or Facebook where people are super active in the comments and stuff. But I like YouTube because it's just, I feel like, I don't want to say there's like endless possibilities for video, but there's kind of endless possibilities, and it's a great platform to test on.
Yeah. Yes.
Especially with like shorts and stuff like that. Like, I really enjoy checking to see like which short is kind of taking off.
It's on my to-do list to go through.
Yeah, because it's
some
like
of them and like
sometimes
reverse engineer what's going on.
it's so crazy. And I will say too, like, sometimes the shorts end up on the wrong side of the web, and that's also fun to look at every once in a while. Because I remember one of Daisy's shorts ended up, I think, on Gamer YouTube, and they were like, "Oh, she's wearing the same outfit as one of the characters in
Yes.
the game." And I thought, I mean, it was really funny.
So fun.
And it was really cool to see, like, okay, so this actually does have this has some reach, and people are watching it. Whether or not it's the right people sometimes is like, okay, so now we know what we need to tweak if,
Exactly.
you know, if we're not hitting the right audience. But either way, it's always fun to see the comments and always fun to see what people are learning from our videos when they do comment. And also just to kind of, I don't know, to kind of see where like our videos are being promoted.
Yeah.
And what videos are being promoted with us. Like, who are we competing against, really?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most fun parts for me.
I completely agree. I think the data and the quality of our conversations internally around like how do we better serve and what's happening, what are we learning about digital and how it's changing with AI. I mean, YouTube is like our experimental playground. It's so fun. It's so fun. Okay. Can you use TikTok for B2B marketing?
Yes, you can. I think this question is so funny because it's like one of the first questions.
No, you don't have to dance on it unless you want to.
You don't have to dance. I do think you should, though. I think it would be fun
Right?
to see some B2B companies get a little fun.
Jiggy with it?
Yeah, get jiggy with it.
Gen X in the house, sorry.
Well, thank you, Will Smith, for that hit.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think you can be on TikTok. And again, the thing about TikTok is I think you just have to be a little more strategic in how you create content there. I don't know. It's like such an evolved platform. The algorithm is awesome.
Whoa.
You know, in sorting and stuff like that. And then they have their search engine feature, which I would definitely advise everybody to try to take advantage of while it's not necessarily in its infancy, but it's probably a toddler
And
right now.
especially for B2B, early adopters win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so while, you know, B2C companies and influencers are like, what? TikTok's not new. Oh, for our folks, it is.
Yeah.
And
it is.
I mean, there's just so much reach you can have. And, you know, we're talking about how fun YouTube is, but wow, the data and like the speed of feedback on TikTok. But back to consistency.
Yeah.
Like you got to be prepared.
Consistency is
you got to be
key.
prepared to do TikTok.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You definitely have to be prepared to at least upload, honestly, more than once a week, but definitely consistently.
Yep.
Because TikTok is one of those places I personally feel like, and this is not necessarily the truth, but it feels like sometimes TikTok is the platform that's like, well, if you're not going to post, then we're going to leave you and, you know, we'll focus on something else as far as the algorithm goes.
Yeah, completely
Because, you know,
agree.
LinkedIn does the 2-week cycling or 2 to 3 week cycling. Facebook kind of has the same thing. Instagram is also kind of doing the same thing with carousels.
Yep.
And I think they're kind of doing it with Reels, but like, I
Not
have
TikTok.
not seen. Yeah, I haven't really seen
No.
TikTok do that yet.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
it's definitely about consistency there.
Agreed. Okay, last question. What's the downside of putting my B2B business on social media?
I don't really think there's a downside.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a downside. The only time there's a downside is if you're not ready to commit, I guess, to actually focusing on how you can grow on social and actually creating content for social. Then you might be disappointed. But, you know, if you're ready to take that step and jump off the cliff into the abyss of social, then I definitely think there's really not much of a downside. It's just like everything else in marketing. It's testing.
Yeah.
You know, there are analytics. There are things you can actually read to know whether or not things are working.
Yeah.
There are numbers behind social too. Like, as much as we talk about the creative side and the fun side, like there's still like, you know, did this post actually perform?
Yeah.
Did this campaign actually perform? And how is we can go as far to say like, how is our organic and our paid, like, are they actually working together really well?
Yes.
So I don't really think there's a downside to being on social as a B2B company.
You know, for me, the fears that I see that people might, you know, want to say, if you have an unhinged leader, that's just going to pop off. Now, in 13 years, I cannot think top of mind of a single leader that I would have been scared of actually putting, you know, their opinion on social media. Now, I want to say, like, in the B2B space, there has a tendency to be an extensive amount of professionalism. So you really don't see a lot of rolling around in the mud. You know, and it is, especially on your corporate page, like go back to your core values, you know, and then be in alignment with that. So, but I do think people get nervous about that. We had a company where they had some really aggressive competitors on the sales side that would comment a whole bunch. Now, let me say that
I
those comments
recall.
are so good for your social media because
Yeah.
platform loves engagement, and it's like, oh, this is good content.
Conversation.
So like, exactly. So we get out there, and you know what? And to your point about conversation, the rebuffs were polite but on point. So if a customer were to read the back and forth, it was super beneficial for our client because everybody stayed on the up and up. And even when the competitor got a little sideways, like it really highlighted the professionalism and integrity of the team, you know, our client's team versus the rolling around in the mud that the competition was doing. And so it was outstanding. And then the final one I would say is that I think people, well, two final ones. People get nervous about former employees being bitter and getting on there. They gonna do it anyways. Google reviews, you know what I mean? And so by being invisible, it means you can't have a voice. You can't reflect. You can't advocate. You just turn into a victim, you know, of everything. Like a victim of the algorithms, a victim of anything anybody wants to say if you refuse to be out there.
Yeah.
And then people get super scared about negative PR. In the B2B space, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
What is, like, I know that sometimes big things happen, but are you kidding me? It has nothing to do with whether or not you should be on social media. Again,
and
have a voice.
Personally, if you do fear negative PR, having a social account that's active is probably your best bet.
I know.
To clean it up.
Yes.
I don't know. Because I can't even think of, you know, PR in 2025, and I'm not a PR specialist. So if there are any PR specialists watching,
feel free to weigh in.
Yeah, I was going to say, please weigh in. But I feel like most people are going to check social first for that response.
Completely
of any sort. Because, I mean, if you look at the recent situation that involved, you know, the
CEO.
Yeah, the CEO and Coldplay. Everybody was constantly checking LinkedIn for a statement from the company. Constantly. Even from, they were looking to see if the CEO was going to say anything, if the HR lady was going to say anything. And it went so far that somebody had created an AI response, and everybody immediately took to it and was like, he responded. He said something. So I think, you know, being on social can have its benefits for sure. I don't think there are any downsides.
I agree.
And especially in the case when you feel like there is a negative feedback that you would have to respond to, being on social is going to be your best bet, because nobody's going to know what you have to say if you don't have a place to actually voice what you need to say.
100%.
So get active on social, even if it's only one post a week.
Yeah.
You know, do something.
Agreed.
You don't have to do a whole lot, but do something.
Agreed. Absolutely. All right, you guys, thank you for your questions. We really appreciate it. Post some more. We want to hear what you want to hear. We want to give you the content that you want, and we want to help make your business successful through marketing. After all, you guys, it is 2025. Like, marketing is the future of growth and accelerated success. So let us help you. All right, we'll see you next week. Onward and upward.
Forgot my glasses cloth, so they're gonna be a little smudgy.
They're everywhere.
Yeah,
but never wear any of them.
My best friend, she has never lost a glasses cloth in her life, and I'm like, how did you manage to keep up with it? Because she actually gave me one of hers, and she was like, here, like, I know you need one, your glasses are dirty. And I was like, okay, thank you. I came back and I was like, hey, so like, do you have a glasses cloth? She was like, I gave you one. And I was like, I don't know where it is.
Again,
I still don't know where it is till this day. Like, I lost hers. I lost the one that came with the glasses. I could never keep up with them ever.